Your differential fluid, transmission fluid, and coolant are breaking down silently right now. No warning lights, no dashboard alerts, and no way to see it happening. And by the time you know it, a simple $150 service has already ballooned into a $2,500 repair. And it's all happening during your daily commute, short trips to the grocery store, and even while your car sits parked in your driveway overnight. When coolant fails, you don't get some kind of a gentle warning. You get steam pouring out from under the hood in traffic, or your heat stops working on a cold morning, or your temperature gauge spikes in the red. Now by that point, rust has been circulating through your engine for months, scouring the water pump seal, clogging narrow passages, and eating away at aluminum components. Let's talk repair cost. Radiator replacement runs between $300 and $1,000. Water pump replacement costs $400 to $800. And if the engine overheats severely enough to warp the cylinder head or blow the head gasket, you're easily looking at $1,500 to $3,000. Hell, in some extreme cases, the entire engine may need to be replaced. Now, what most people don't understand is that coolant isn't just a liquid that prevents overheating. It contains chemical inhibitors that stop rust from forming inside the engine block, the cylinder heads, the radiator, and even the water pump. When those inhibitors break down, corrosion starts. Now all the while, your temperature gauge reads perfectly normal. A complete coolant drain and fill costs anywhere from $100 to $150. Now you compare that to the thousands that you'll spend when internal corrosion destroys your coolant system. So if your coolant looks brown instead of bright green, orange, or pink, the damage has already started. Traditional green coolant should be changed every 3 to 5 years or 30,000 to 50,000 miles. For extended life coolant, you're looking at every 5 years or 100,000 miles. Have you ever heard a faint whirring noise from the rear of your car that increases with speed, then disappears when you slow down? That's practically metal touching metal and gears wearing down because the lubricant protecting them has lost its film strength. It's an early age symptom of failure. You ignore that whine and it becomes a howl. The howl then turns into a grind, and eventually the differential seizes completely. Now there's plenty of incidents of rear wheels locking on the highway, cars losing control, and what could have been prevented with a $120 fluid change becoming a $3,500 failure in a dangerous situation. So you see, inside a differential, gears and bearings are operating under thousands of pounds of pressure. The fluid lubricates those components and dissipates the heat. Without it, the gears would weld themselves together in seconds. But there's a catch. There's no dipstick, and there's no maintenance reminder sticker on your windshield. So, how do you prevent it? Simple. Differential fluid should be changed every 30,000 to 60,000 miles depending on your vehicle. If you tow a trailer, drive off-road, or make a lot of short trips with frequent stops and starts, that interval should be shorter. And if you drive a four-wheel drive vehicle, you've got two differentials, front and rear, and both need service without fail. Alright, transmission fluid doesn't last forever. Every time you drive, it heats up. Friction material from clutch plates wears off into it. Metal particles from gears contaminate it, and it oxidizes, and slowly, over tens of thousands of miles, it breaks down. It starts off bright red, and as it ages, it turns dark brown. Eventually, it turns black and develops a bit of a burnt smell. And when that happens, the transmission's already wearing faster than it should. It even gets worse in short-trip cars with low highway miles. In cars like that, the transmission never fully warms up and often operates in the worst temperature range. Hot enough to degrade the fluid, but not hot enough to burn off moisture and contaminants. And because the car's not driven far, the owner assumes everything is fine. And that's when one starts noticing things like delayed engagement. The cost to rebuild or replace an automatic transmission ranges from $2,500 to $6,000, depending on the vehicle. The cost to change the fluid before it fails? $150 to $250 for a drain and fill. So do the math. The solution? Change your transmission fluid regularly before it reaches that point. Manual transmissions should be serviced every 30,000 to 60,000 miles, while automatic transmissions should be serviced every 60,000 to 100,000 miles. And if the video's helping you discover ways to make your car run efficiently, make sure you stay for the next fluid that a lot of drivers, including you, may not be aware of. If you own a car with hydraulic power steering, you might need to hear this one. The power steering pump starts whining when you turn the wheel. Steering feels heavier than it used to, especially at low speeds. If you experience these issues and still keep driving, the pump seals fail. Fluid leaks and eventually the pump seizes, or the steering rack starts leaking internally. Now this is where things get murky. Power steering pump replacement, $400 to $800. Steering rack replacement, $800 to $1,200 or even more. If your car's got hydraulic power steering, there's a reservoir under the hood that circulates fluid through the steering system every time you turn the wheel. That fluid provides hydraulic pressure to assist steering, lubricates the power steering pump, and prevents wear on the steering rack. But because power steering fluid rarely fails suddenly, most people never think about it. There's no service reminder. Most mechanics don't check it unless you specifically ask. And unless you hear a grumbling noise when turning the wheel, you really got no reason to suspect a problem. But here's the truth. Every time you turn the wheel, the fluid heats up. It circulates under pressure and it oxidizes. Over time, it gets contaminated with moisture and particles. Its hydraulic properties degrade, and when that happens, the power steering pump has to work harder to generate the same amount of assist. To avoid these issues, power steering fluid should be changed every 50,000 to 80,000 miles, or whenever the fluid appears dark instead of clear or light amber. And get this, the cost of changing the power steering fluid before all this is a meager $80 to $120. And if you hear any squealing or groaning when you turn the steering wheel, check the fluid immediately. That's the early warning before an expensive failure. And now on to a fluid that destroys drivetrains because most owners, maybe even you, don't even know that it exists. When transfer case fluid degrades, you'll notice problems shifting into four-wheel drive, where it either refuses to engage or engages and then disengages on its own. You might also hear some grinding when in four-wheel drive. The vehicle might also bind or jump during tight turns because internal clutch packs are slipping. A complete failure can damage the transmission, lock up the drivetrain, or strand you in two-wheel drive when you actually need four-wheel drive. Now all that could set you back anywhere between $1,800 and $4,000, depending on the vehicle. The transfer case distributes power between the front and rear axles. It's what allows you to shift into four-wheel drive. Now inside that, there's gears, chains, and sometimes clutch packs operating under extreme load. And just like the differential, there's literally no reminder to service it. The fluid inside breaks down from heat and shear forces, and when it does, you'll start noticing problems shifting into four-wheel drive. The system may either refuse to engage or may engage but then disengage on its own. You might also hear grinding when you're in four-wheel drive. The vehicle might also bind and jump during tight turns because the clutch packs inside are slipping. Manufacturers recommend changing transfer case fluid every 30,000 to 50,000 miles. If you do heavy towing or frequent off-roading, that interval should be shorter. If you've exceeded the service interval, or if you don't know when it was last done, you need to have it serviced before the next major drive. The transfer case isn't something you can wait on until it makes noise. By that point, internal damage is already happening and you're already staring at thousands of dollars in repairs and replacements. Most cars don't die from neglect, but because nobody told owners what actually wears out. All these fluids fail silently and, well, now you know where to look. So remember to subscribe to the channel if you'd rather prevent failures than pay for them.